Senator, thank you very much for being here. Frankly, I want to ask you these questions. I would have rather asked a Republican in leadership these questions. Mitch McConnell would be great to have on my show if he would ever join me. Frankly, any Republican senator on this show would be wonderful to have right now so I could ask these questions. Unfortunately, they're not coming on. So here's where we are. I'm asking you this. What in the world is going on? And did you ever think that it would get this far where the president would be trying to overturn a Democratic election and most of your Republican colleagues would just be silent?
It makes me sad, Katie. It truly does. Sad for our democracy, sad for them. What I see happening, though, is that you have a number of them. Today, a significant thing happened. Lamar Alexander, who chairs the Health Committee, who knows very well what's happening if we don't have the Biden team and Dr. Osterholm, who you just have on, have access to the information they need. He called for the transition to move forward. You have, as you noted, people condemning what Rudy Giuliani said yesterday. And I can't, after spending this morning at the University of Minnesota with a doctor there, after talking on a call with my rural mayors, separate this from the pandemic anymore. I don't know how our Republican colleagues can. People are dying. And so what we need right now, Donald Trump, he's lost over 30 lawsuits. Rudy Giuliani knows that. This whole thing is going to end at some point. But right now, as I look at an ambulance across the street from my house, probably getting someone across the way, right now, what we need is a transition so the next team can get up and running. This, if you want some hope, there is good news on those vaccinations, but we're not going to be able to get them out. We need 103-degree below zero freezers if we don't have a seamless transition with the next administration. So look at it that way. If you put all the political BS aside, and if you put all of Rudy Giuliani's craziness aside, you're down to this. We've got to save lives. We have to move this country forward. We have to work as one team. That's the reason to move the transition.
Senator, Joe Biden is going to be inaugurated on January 20th. It's the president can't get around that, even with these legal avenues that have so far proven completely futile. But when he is president, are you hopeful that given what we're seeing right now and given how, I guess, far Republicans would let the president go, are you hopeful that Joe Biden, even with his long tenure in the Senate, is going to be able to find some compromise and to actually get things done that Americans need, like, for instance, a relief bill, an economic relief bill for COVID?
I am, and that's because of the unique qualities he's going to bring to this job. But I'd like to see that before this. Now, I will tell you this. I have spent the last 2 weeks on the phone and in person talking to Republican senators, including those in leadership, including going back and forth with a few today by text. Our businesses, small businesses, they can't wait. The mayors I talked to today, small towns in Minnesota, every one of them believes they're going to lose their one diner or two diners if we don't do anything. That's the lifeblood for a small town. That's the one place they can go. We need to get something done now, not wait for Joe Biden to get in, where he will do, of course, more. And so that's what I'm pushing for right now. Relief now for employees, for businesses. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, it's an important distinction because I think people think about the big cities really hurting, but it's also the small towns that are really hurting as well and need that aid. And I know we're running out of time with you, but I do want to ask you one more question. And this is about Chris Krebs, the former director of CISA at DHS, who the president just fired. As to that press conference that we showed at the top there, the Rudy Giuliani press conference, he tweeted that it was the most dangerous 1 hour and 45 minutes of television in American history and possibly the craziest. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're lucky.
He knows. He's the one that was appointed by Donald Trump, but yet maintained his integrity throughout his job. And remember, when Donald Trump fired him, simply because this guy took charge of this agency, the CISA, which is under Homeland Security, managed thousands of employees, and put out a statement that this past election was the most secure in American history. That's a fact. People voted in droves despite the pandemic. And for Donald Trump to be undermining this democracy every day, for public servants that have worked to protect it, including his own appointees, it's a travesty. So I hope people listen to Chris Krebs. He's someone I've gotten to know and respect so much. But again, I still get down to the point, as I literally am looking at an ambulance outside that pulled up in my neighborhood right now. We can't wait anymore. We cannot go through 7 stages of grief with this president, as John Bolton has said. We need to move forward for this country. And I hope that over Thanksgiving, when my colleagues hear what I've heard about what people are experiencing right now, one, we get a relief package done. I'm not going to go back here until we get one done by the end of the year. And 2, that we've got transition so that Joe Biden can take over and his team can get that vaccination out. Vaccination, great news, but not if we can't get it to the people that need it.
You know, I'm sorry to hear about that ambulance across the street from your house, but it is high time to stop denying the truth in front of our eyes.
It's so hard to see. All right. Thank you.
I'm glad you brought it up because, frankly, it's happening all around us, and it's important to note this. I mean, we don't see it on television every day, but it's happening. It's happening in our neighborhoods, and whenever you hear a siren, you have to wonder if it's because of the disease or if it's because of something else. And will there be room for that person in the hospital because this disease is overrunning so many hospitals? It's
and that's my last message, to follow the rules. Follow the rules and be so careful at Thanksgiving. As Rachel Maddow, your wonderful colleague, has said about her, Susan, her love of her life, getting sick. It's not just yourself. You got to picture the person you love the most and picture what's going to happen if you lose them, and just follow the rules, because we're almost over this. We almost are to a vaccination. Months from now, we're going to be there, but not if we get sick and we lose our loved ones. Okay.
That Rachel monologue was so powerful, and all of our love goes to Rachel and to Susan. Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And